Hey, welcome back to the Everyday Joy podcast. I'm your host, Ash Owen, and I cannot wait to find moments of joy with you today. I hope you are having a fantastic week so far. Maybe it's been busy, maybe it's been a slower week, whatever it is. I hope that these 10-minute episodes are encouraging you, inspiring you, and just helping you get that little bit closer to Jesus each and every day. If you are loving the podcast episodes this week, would you go ahead, give us a written review over on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify? But best of all, why don't you share today's episode with someone on social media? Make sure that more people find out about this incredible community and these moments of joy. I can't wait to dive even deeper into the Word of God with you. So let's get ready to dive into today's Words to Live By.
Proverbs 16:9 says, "We plan the way we want to live, but only God makes us able to live it."
Well, I have Vincent Gulay in the studio with me today. Vin, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Doing very well. Good to be back.
Good to be back in the chair. Now, Vin, since you were on the podcast last, you have got a couple sick tattoos.
Yeah, I have. Can you see? Is it recording?
You probably can.
I got a few.
If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, go have a look on the socials. I'll make sure Vin can show off his.
Okay, that's what we're here for, guys. American traditional.
They're very, very cool. Now you've got some cool ones like for your kids as well. Hey.
Yeah. So I got an anchor with the initials of each of my children, my 3 kids. I got one for my wife up here. I've got an hourglass that has a heart in the bottom half because where we spend our time is, the things that we love. So it just reminds me that if I'm spending too much time scrolling on my phone and not enough time with my family, something might be out of whack and I should correct that.
Yeah, that's so cool, Vin. We're looking at Proverbs 16, verse 9. We plan the way that we want to live, but only God makes us able to live it. What are your first thoughts about this verse, Vinny?
My first thoughts are pretty much that we can have great vision for our life and plans for our life. And, a healthy Christian individual would probably try to seek God in that. But ultimately, and it's good for us to set up vision and plans. However, we know that if we're listening to God daily, the steps that we need to take daily should be coming from Him. So I think this verse tells me or reminds me that it's really good to plan and have vision for our lives, but we've really got to tune in to God daily. I mean, I think it's in Colossians, it talks about, pray without ceasing, daily, every minute, every step, be including God, because only God knows how we're going to get where we need to get to.
Totally. I think that what I like about even just the wording of it, it says we plan the way we want to live. So God really does give us an element of like control, right? So obviously there's like God's will and there's the things that He has planned for us, but we can't be inactive in that. God says you need to take steps. You need to like start making the motion towards what you think I'm calling you to. But like you said, it's that almost daily discipline of, okay, well, I need to check in, make sure that I'm doing what I feel God's calling me to. But we actually have to take the steps. It's not always going to be this like stagnant, I'm going to wait until I hear something.
That's so
If
good,
it
Ash.
honors God and if it doesn't contradict the Word of God, take a step. Keep going and keep stepping, because otherwise we'll be stuck in a season of just moving nowhere, a season of stagnance, I guess.
I think, no, you're really spot on there. I love that you've said that. Like, yes, we can have grand plans, but we're not going to get there unless we make moves towards those plans. And the best moves to make are the ones that God tells us to make, right? Yeah. And I think this is where sometimes even I've fallen down in the past is that, I'm like, Lord, I need you to open some doors for me, open some doors for my plans, my future, my career. And God has been very faithful in that and has blessed me with a really great career over a decade in what I do. But I know that sometimes we want God to open doors, but then we forget that the verse actually says we got to knock.
Yeah.
And the door will be open to us.
Yeah.
And so are we knocking?
Yeah.
Are we taking that step to knock, or are we just asking God to put it let it land in our laps? I don't know if God says, sit there, do nothing, and I will bring things to you. I'm pretty sure He says, knock and the door will be open to you.
Yeah, it's pretty consistently takes an act of like our faith, or like an act of our willingness to take a step for then God to kind of direct that step or direct that path. I remember, and I might have said it on the podcast before, I was doing like a Bible college class, and one of the pastors that was running this class said this really interesting thing. And I think for me, I've often lived my life in that kind of stagnant place of going, okay, like I have two decisions to make. I've got an option to like step this way or step this way. And the way this pastor explained it was, so often we think that God is standing there with kind of like, you know, when you play that game and you put like a coin in your hand, you've got to figure out what hand the coin is in. Sometimes we feel like, or we think, or we've learnt to believe that God is like that. He's holding the will for your life in one hand. And it's almost like you get stuck in this indecision of going, oh my gosh, have I prayed enough to figure out where God's leading me? Do I know it enough? But the way this pastor articulated it was actually saying, if it honors God, if it doesn't contradict his word, if it is something that, you know, obviously isn't taking away from like those things you said, like you're still honoring your family, your partner, all these things, as long as it isn't contradicting what we know is truth about God, you can actually safely take a step either way. Do you know what I mean? Like we get stuck in choosing the right hand that sometimes we don't even go anywhere. So it's actually, if we know that neither of the options are going to contradict what God says or his truths are, his core truths, you actually can take a step and trust that God will direct your path wherever that may be. Yeah,
I'm 100% with you there, Ash. One of the ways that I like to think about this concept as well is pretty much like if you're praying about the next move to make, you've got vision, God's making a move, you don't know what to do next. I just, in my mind, I just visualize, you know, it's the end of my life, I'm at eternity, I'm hanging out with Jesus, you know, I'm in heaven. And God comes to me and he says, Vin, what on earth were you doing when you made this decision? And I just feel like if I'm making a decision and I'm visualizing this, if I can comfortably say, Lord, you know I was seeking your heart. I was not trying to do something out of selfish ambition. I was trying to do what you were asking me to do. This is what I felt you were asking me to do. And so I did it. And Lord, you can see my heart. You can see whether or not I was doing that selfishly or for the kingdom or for your call. But I had to make a call. I had to do something. And Lord, if I made the wrong move, I'm sorry about that. But I wasn't trying to do the wrong thing. And so I think that kind of decision making, that kind of framework and that visualization, or even call it a prayer if you want, is me going, Lord, I really want to do what you're asking me to do. It's unclear. This is what I'm feeling I got to do. I'm making this move, and I hope that if it's wrong and someone gets hurt unintentionally, forgive me. But Lord, you know I'm trying to follow your will. I'm not trying to do anything else but follow your will. And sometimes I find peace in that. Yeah. And I think that's spot on with what you were saying in terms of you got to make a decision, you got to make a call. Totally. And is there a time in your life where you've seen this be played out? I think where I see this is like when I was in university, I had, you know, dreams to work in marketing and product development and that sort of thing. I didn't exactly know where I would end up, but I did know, I'm like, God, I was doing an internship at the church. So if anyone's looking to do one of those, good idea. We're both internship kids. Internship at the church is I reckon it's a good idea. But I was doing one and it was wrapping up. I was thinking about what to do next. I wanted to go and do a marketing degree because I liked that area. It was an area of interest. I didn't know where I would end up, but I really felt like God was like, and that doesn't really feel like a very spiritual step, to be honest. But I just signed up for the course, did the course, smashed it out. By the end of that degree, I had an opportunity to work for a really great social enterprise here in Melbourne. Thank you. But I remember God helping me in that sort of interview process. It turned out I had a friend or an acquaintance who went to the same church as me, who had actually founded the organization. And so that was where I kind of saw I was taking my steps, somewhat unspiritual steps, to like finish a degree, hunt internships, etc. And then God was also aligning some steps at the same time. What a coincidence that one of the guys who founded this organization went to church with me, knew who I was, but not, knew of me, but didn't really know me that well. And he really helped and coached me into that that internship. That's just a small but simple example of, I knew I had to take some steps. I knew God was ordering things for me as well. And that ultimately launched me into a decade plus long career in this sort of industry. So, I really have seen God's hand on my life when I've said, Lord, I want to do something that seems kind of like not so spiritual. I just want to have a job and be a good guy. And I've seen God's hand move so many times in that space.
Yeah. I think what I love the most about all of that, Vin, is it's kind of like what I said earlier. Sometimes we make it so deeply spiritual, and not that that's a bad thing, but it can put us in that place of not making decision. And I think by you saying that before, of going, sometimes you just have to take the step, invite God into it, say, Lord, I want to do this for your glory. I do want to honor you with this, but Lord, help me to make these. They seem quite small decisions at the time, but in the end, like you said, when you look back and you reflect on your life, you go, there is no way that God didn't plan this, that he didn't align this, he didn't have this planned for my life. And so I think it's literally that this entire thing that we've spoken about today is going, we need to take steps, we need to make those moves, but we need to make sure that we always have a heart that wants to honor and glorify God. And as long as we're living a life that literally goes, okay, God, the second part of this verse, God makes us able to live it. As long as we know that the only reason that we can do it and get through it and achieve it is because of him, and we rely on him for that, and we get our strength from him in that, we're good. You've got it sorted. Like, you can actually let go of the stress and worry of life and go, literally, God, you make me live this life. You direct me and guide me. So I'm actually going to kind of take the hands off the steering wheel a little bit and just live knowing that you're in control.
That's it.
We plan the way we want to live, but only God makes us able to live it. Proverbs 16, verse 9. Today's episode has encouraged me so much. God is so there, ready and willing to help guide us and lead us. But don't let the fact that maybe you haven't heard a crazy clear answer, maybe you don't exactly know where your life is going, stop you from walking in what God has for you. Make sure we're always bringing it back to God, trusting him, relying in him, and knowing that when we look back in 5 years' time, we're going to know that God was faithful and that God was with us. I hope you enjoyed listening to today's episode, and if you did, why don't you go give us a 5-star written review. I cannot wait to dive even deeper into the Word of God with you tomorrow.